Good day everyone, this is Zafar Muklis reporting for DIA News. Today we will present our business statistic assignment about student daily digital transaction. The purpose of this report is to analyze how often students use digital services such as e-wallet and online banking in their daily activities. Using descriptive statistics, we studied the central pattern and the separate of the data. To begin our analysis, let's go live to our field reporter, Shami, who will explain the measure of central tendency or MOCT.
Thank you, Zafran. So now, I will explain about the measure of central tendency, which it include mean, median, and mode. So if we see here, our mode is in the 5 to 6 transaction class. This means most students usually make around 5 to 6 digital transactions per day, making this the most common behavior among students. So move on our mode. Next, we go to median. If we see here, our median is 6.25 transaction. This means half of the student make less than 6.25 transaction and half make more than that per day. So our last is mean. If we see here, our mean is 6.42 transaction per day. This shows that on average student make about 6 digital transactions daily. Overall, this measure shows that students actively use digital service every day. However, central value alone do not show whether all students behave the same way. So now, let's go back to the studio to understand how my students differ from each other. Let's go.
Thank you, Shami. This is analysis. We can see that students make around 6 digital transactions daily, which indicate a high level of digital usage. However, average value alone do not show whether all the students behave the same way. Some students may use digital service more frequently, while others may use them less. This is why we also analyze the measure of dispersion to understand how separate out the data is. To explain this part, let's hear from our data analyst, Akhil.
Thank you, Zafran. I will now explain the variation in student transaction behavior using range and standard deviation. The range of the data is 11, which means there is a large difference between the lowest and the highest number of transactions made by students. This shows that some students make very few transactions, while others make many transactions in a day. The standard deviation is 3.37. This means student daily transaction usually differ from the average by about 3 transactions. This indicates that transaction behavior is not consistent among students and varies widely. To understand this variation more clearly, we can divide the data into groups using quartile. So now, let's go back to our field reporter, Shami, for further explanation.
Thank you, Akhil. As I mentioned earlier, quartile help us understand how the data is spread among different group of students. Quartile divide the data into 4 equal parts. For the first quartile, if you see here, is 3.58. This means 25% of the students make less than about 4 transactions per day. And we see here, third quartile is 9.36. This means 75% of the students make less than about 9 transactions per day. So for the last part is the interquartile. The interquartile range is 5.78. This means the middle 50% of the students make between about 4 and 9 transactions per day. This further confirms that even among typical users, transaction level still vary a lot. With this analysis, we can now return to the studio for the final summary and recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Shami and Akhil. In summary, our analysis show that students prefer digital payment methods and use digital service frequently. The measure of central tendency show high daily usage, while dispersion and quartiles show large difference between students. Based on these findings, the college should ensure that all shops support online banking and e-wallet payments. In addition, students should be educated on managing digital spend to avoid overspending. Has been our statistic report on student digital behavior. So thank you for watching and good night.